So far, we've seen Jinwoo in the middle of the job change quest. After a fierce battle, he defeats it with great difficulty. Just as he thinks it's over, he's ambushed by an army of soldiers. Summoning all of his strength and tapping into his new abilities, Jinwoo manages to defeat them. After the fight, he uses his shadow powers to turn the soldiers into his minions, binding them to his will. Now the story continues. Meanwhile, we cut to Jano greeting Dongwoo upon his arrival in Japan. Dongwoo is surprised to be met personally by the chief of the Hunter Association and sarcastically comments on the warm welcome. He cryptically mentions that the surveillance team should turn a blind eye to whatever happens to those two in a dungeon, revealing his intent to eliminate Jinwoo and Leo. Elsewhere, Field Master Choi and his team are seen unloading monsters from a chopper. These creatures were taken from Mijujo Island, and Choi briefs the chairman of the Hunter Association on the situation. The scene transitions back to Jinwoo, who meets Sang. Surprised by the sudden call, Sang remarks how rare it is to hear from Jinwoo. Sang also notices Song Yi with him. Jinwoo apologizes for the unexpected request, but Sang assures him it's fine, though he's curious about Jinwoo's interest in observing their training. Sang points to a nearby gate, explaining that it's a newly emerged S-rank gate. As they discuss, an impatient man interrupts, rumbling about the delay and complaining that they should start the raid already. Jinwoo looks at him curiously. Sang introduces the man as Kim Cha, an A-rank hunter and the tanker of the team. Sang adds that Kim Cha is the leader of the assault team, but it's clear Kim Cha isn't happy about having E-rank hunters tagging along. Jinwoo isn't thrilled about the large group, as his main purpose was to show Song Yi the harsh realities of dungeon raids. With so many participants, however, he worries the experience might be diluted. Sang's assistant then advises Jinwoo to stay on the sidelines and let the newcomers gain practical experience. Jinwoo agrees. The team enters the gate, but Jinwoo immediately senses that something is off. He notices the gate behind him behaving strangely as it begins to glow red. Realizing what's happening, he tries to escape, managing to squeeze his head out to warn Sang to contact the assault team. However, the gate pulls him back inside. Sang quickly contacts Bake, informing him of the red gate. Inside the dungeon, Jinwoo and the team find themselves in an endless snowfield, stunned to discover that the gate has completely vanished. Panic sets in as they wonder how they will escape. Kim Chae steps forward and explains that they are trapped inside a red gate. Song Yi, confused, asks what that means. Jinwoo calmly explains that unlike normal gates, a red gate is a dungeon where all contact with the outside world is lost upon entry. To escape, they must either defeat the boss or wait for the dungeon to collapse. Suddenly, arrows rain down on the group. One hunter is killed instantly, but Jinwoo swiftly catches the second arrow aimed at Song Yi, shielding her from harm. The girl is stunned by his reflexes. The team quickly realizes they are surrounded by ice elves. Jinwoo notes that their distance had masked their presence and that they targeted the group's weakest members. He acknowledges that if this had happened 2 months ago, he wouldn't have survived. The ice elves retreat, leaving Song Yi confused. Jinwoo explains that ice elves are ruthless predators known as ice slayers among hunters, feared for their brutal efficiency. Kim Cha then takes charge, announcing that no help will be coming and insisting that they follow his commands if they want to survive. He claims he cannot manage the entire group, so he proposes splitting into 2 teams, arguing that it will improve their chances. He warns that staying in one place risks freezing to death and insists he can protect those who go with him. Most of the group agrees to go with Kim Cha, but he quickly singles out the weaker members, refusing to take them along. He explains that their presence would slow the team down. Coldly, he labels them as dead weight and states that it could take months to defeat the boss or wait for the dungeon to collapse. With a dismissive tone, he promises to return for them once the boss is defeated. One girl in the group decides to stick with Jinwoo. Kim Chae scoffs, calling it a stupid move, but the girl quietly whispers to Jinwoo that she noticed his earlier reflexes and is convinced he's much stronger than he seems, possibly even an A rank or higher. Jinwoo doesn't confirm or deny her observation. Kim Cha declares he will take the main road, assuming it to be the best route. Jinwoo, however, offers to lead his team through the forest. After some time, Kim Chae's group notices claw marks on the trees. Confidently, he declares that they've entered Ice Bear territory and smugly remarks that the E-rank team will likely be killed soon. Moments later, they sense ice bears nearby and quickly find themselves surrounded. One of the massive creatures charges, but Kim Cha blocks the attack with his shield and cleaves the bear in half with his axe. Without hesitation, he moves to engage the other 2 bears, maintaining his confidence. Meanwhile, Jinwoo's group is stopped by the girl, who points out similar claw marks. She warns them that they're in Ice Bear territory and suggests turning back to avoid an encounter. Jinwoo disagrees, suggesting instead that they press deeper. He explains that since this is Ice Bear territory, they'll only need to worry about the bears, which are weaker than the elves waiting outside. The girl thinks it over and realizes Jinwoo is right. No other magical beasts would enter this area due to the ice bear's dominance. As they move forward, the air grows colder. Jinwoo pulls coats from his inventory using subspace magic, handing them out to everyone. The group is amazed by his ability and puts on the warm coats with gratitude. Still puzzled, Song Yi asks Jinwoo who he really is. Jinwoo avoids the question, reminding her that he brought her here so it's his responsibility to protect her. He requests that she and the others not ask further questions. Just then, a massive ice bear emerges from the shadows. Jinwoo steps forward and changes his title to Wolf Assassin as he prepares for the fight. Meanwhile, outside the dungeon, Baek observes the ominous red glow and concludes that this gate is bad news. He doubts that anyone but high-ranking hunters could survive. He places his hopes on Kim Cha, believing his rank might give the assault team a chance. However, Sang informs him that in addition to the official assault team, others entered the gate, including Jinwoo. At that moment, Dongwoo arrives with Janel. Baek is visibly displeased to see Dongwoo and questions why he's here when he's supposed to be in America. Dongwoo ignores the question and instead challenges Baek, asking why an E-rank hunter was allowed into the gate when he isn't even part of their guild. Dongwoo makes his intentions clear as tensions rise. As Dong continues speaking, it becomes clear he is referring to Jinwoo, leaving Baek wondering how Dongwoo knows him. Dong scoffs at the red gate, lamenting that Jinwoo will likely die inside before he ever gets the chance to meet him. Janel, observing Dong's frustration, muses that Jinwoo is fortunate to be inside the gate. Inside the gate, Jinwoo finishes off the last of the ice bears, earning another level up. His team, along with the girl who stayed with him, are left stunned, wondering who he really is. However, Jinwoo remains tight-lipped. Later, the group gathers around a fire to eat roasted bear meat. They are astonished that Jinwoo managed to take down so many ice bears on his own. The girl warns the group that they can't afford to relax just yet, as the lair of the monsters must be nearby. Song-yi, on the other hand, is baffled by Jinwoo's behavior. She questions why Jinwoo has gone out for exercise after dinner, even though he just fought such an intense battle. She remarks on how strange he is, and the others agree. Elsewhere, we see Jinwoo standing outside the lair of the ice bears, ready to test the strength of his shadow army. He summons them, watching as they charge forward into the lair. The shadows easily cut down the bears, but some of the creatures fight back fiercely, managing to tear apart parts of the shadow army. However, the shadows regenerate quickly using Jinwoo's mana and return to the fight. The mages in his shadow army provide excellent support, casting powerful spells from a distance, though he notes that maintaining them consumes a significant amount of his mana. Suddenly, the massive boss of the ice bears emerges. With a single devastating attack, it wipes out Jinwoo's entire shadow army, draining a large portion of his mana in the process. Left unable to regenerate his soldiers, Jinwoo summons Igris. The Shadow Knight steps forward confidently as the colossal bear charges at him. Igris dodges with ease, delivering a precise slash. In mere moments, the bear is brought to its knees. It attempts a final desperate attack, but Igris finishes it with a swift beheading. Jinwoo observes the fight, impressed by Igris' power. Reflecting on their earlier duel, he admits that he wouldn't have won if Igris had used his sword back then. Even now, at his current level, Jinwoo believes Igris might still be stronger. He praises Igris for handling the fight so well. Meanwhile, Kim Cha's party faces the Ice Elves. All of his teammates have been killed, leaving him alone and struggling to process the carnage. Bitterly, he reflects on how close he had been to becoming an elite member of the White Tiger Guild, only to end up in this dire situation. The sight of the elves and the scattered remains of his teammates terrifies him. Realizing he has no chance of winning, Kim Cha runs as fast as he can to escape. Jinwoo stands victorious over the Death Bears, showcasing his immense power as a necromancer. With a single command, the fallen beasts rise again, transform into shadow bears, and join his shadow army outside the portal. Jinwoo explains that while only 3 hours have passed outside, the strike force trapped within the Red Gate has endured 3 long days. Red Gates are notoriously dangerous, and Dong-Su presumes Jinwoo must already be dead. However, Jin-Su stops Dong-Su from leaving, demanding to know why Jinwoo is associating with the White Tiger Guild. Jin-Su explains casually that Jinwoo is merely an acquaintance, and that he wanted to observe a C-rank mission. Dong-Su accepts this explanation but remains suspicious, knowing Jin-Su has a knack for discovering new talent. Tensions rise as Baek intervenes, transformed and serious, demanding Dong-Su stop his aggression. Their battle threatens to spiral out of control until Jin-Su steps in, his mere presence strong enough to halt the fight. Dong-Su is impressed by Jin-Su's power but remains skeptical of Jinwoo's capabilities. Meanwhile, back in the portal, Kimwoo stumbles upon the mangled corpses of the Death Bears. Horrified, he wonders how such powerful beasts could have been defeated. Trembling, he realizes Jinwoo and the other hunters he abandoned couldn't possibly have accomplished this. Fearing the Icy Elves, he retreats into the forest. Outside the gate, Jin-Su assures Dong-Su that Jinwoo was thoroughly evaluated 2 months ago and is, without a doubt, a mere E-rank. Dong-Su isn't convinced, suspecting Jinwoo being involved in the death of his brother and possibly working with another suspect, the wealthy young hunter Yu. However, Dong-Su's musings are interrupted as he's called away, leaving Jin-Su to quietly reflect on how little anyone understands Jinwoo's true power. Inside the portal, Jinwoo's group rests by a fire equipped with weather gear, blankets, and food. Kimwoo, enraged by his own team's lack of resources, confronts them, accusing them of hoarding equipment and blaming them for his party's deaths. Kimwoo's anger peaks when no one confesses, and he resolves to eliminate them all, but just as he's about to act, Jin-woo suddenly appears. Kim's fury turns to shock as Jin-woo scolds him for blaming others for his own failures. Jin-woo quickly senses more trouble. A lurking group of icy elves watching from the shadows. Commanding them to drop their stealth, the elves oblige, intrigued by Jin-woo's strength. Their leader marvels at Jin-woo's ability to speak their language, which Jin-woo attributes to his mysterious system. The elven leader, Barca, reveals that the elves are driven by a voice commanding them to kill humans, though strangely, this voice is silent when it comes to Jin-woo. Uninterested in negotiating, Jin-woo challenges Barca directly, initiating a fierce battle. Barca defends himself skillfully, proving to be a formidable opponent, and Jin-woo realizes the elf is stronger than anyone he's faced before. Summoning his shadow army, Jin-woo attempts to turn the tide, but Barca's forces inflict major damage. While Jin-woo's army is immortal, regenerating them drains his magic power, which will eventually run out. Determined, Jin-woo devises a plan and summons stronger soldiers to aid him. Barca, impressed but overconfident, taunts Jin-woo only to be caught off guard when Jin-woo calls down a massive meteor, temporarily stunning him. Meanwhile, Kimu regains consciousness, seething with hatred for Jin-woo, but Jin-woo predicts his movements and traps him, turning him into a shadow soldier. Naming the new soldier Iron, Jin-woo bolsters his forces and launches another attack on Barca. The battle reaches its peak as Jin-woo, Iron, and Igris take on Barca together. Despite Barca's overwhelming strength, Jin-woo's strategy and teamwork begin to turn the tide. At a critical moment, Barca is horrified to see that Jin-woo's shadow army has completely wiped out his elven forces. Cornered, Barca refuses to surrender, but Jin-woo's relentless onslaught proves too much. With Iron delivering the final blow, the battle comes to an end and Barca falls. Jin-woo attempts to extract Barca's shadow, but after 3 tries, he fails, leaving Barca's body lifeless. Despite the victory, Jin-woo reflects on the toll of taking human lives, realizing this is the 3rd time he's had to do so. As the portal closes, Jin-woo emerges, much to the shock of Beck and his guild. Beck demands answers about the missing hunters, but Jin-woo reminds him that he saved the surviving members, earning Beck's reluctant respect. Beck becomes intrigued by Jin-woo and orders his guild to recruit him at any cost. Later, Jin-woo drops off Saeed, who thanks him for everything and looks forward to their next meeting. Jin-woo, still disappointed by the lack of rewards for his efforts, resolves to continue growing stronger. His encounter with Barca leaves him with questions about his mysterious powers, but he pushes forward, determined to uncover the truth behind the system that governs his life. And here episode 1 ends. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and watch another videos in end screen.
One day, the new gate became a death game, making it impossible for players to log out, and our protagonist Shin kept fighting to beat the game. We then see Shin leaving to fight the final boss of the game, and his friends ask him to take care of himself. Afterward, Shin fights the final boss and tries to take its head, but the final boss dodges, and Shin only manages to cut off its wing. The boss then regenerates its wing, and Shin keeps on attacking. After a long battle, he chips down almost all of its HP and takes out the final boss with one of his skills. He then hears an announcement telling him that the dungeon has been cleared and that players can now log out. Shin is happy that it's finally over and uses a scroll to check if everyone is able to log out. He notices the names of players disappearing from the scroll, and one by one, all players log out, leaving him as the only one left. He then tries to log out as well, but notices a gate appearing behind him and wonders why there are still events happening in the game. Afterwards, Shin opens his eyes in a grassland and realizes that this place looks far too realistic to be a game. He checks the menu and notices he can still pull up game windows. He finds out his stats have improved significantly, likely because he defeated the final boss. He tries to log out now that he has beaten the game, but the logout option is gone. He also checks if anyone else is online, but the scroll doesn't work since he is not connected to the network. He thinks he shouldn't even be able to move if he's not connected and begins to wonder if this is reality. Unable to understand anything, he uses an item to locate his home base. On the way there, he notices a giant walled city that wasn't present before. Eventually, he arrives at his house and finds some guys trying to drag a girl away from it. As soon as they get her out of the barrier surrounding the house, a monster attacks them. The guys flee, leaving the girl behind, and she believes she's going to be killed. But Shin saves her and tells her he is home. The two of them talk inside the house, and the girl introduces herself as Tiara Lucent. She thanks Shin for saving her and asks if he knows her